A voice of gold, a life. Cut short, the heartbreaking story of Karen Carpenter.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
Today seem rather sad. So much.
Welcome back, dear friends, to another deep dive into music history, presented by. Today, we explore the life of a woman whose voice could bring both joy and tears. A voice so pure and heartfelt that it became one of the most cherished sounds in music history. But behind the golden voice was a life filled with battles, heartbreak, and a tragic end that came far too soon. This is the unforgettable story of Karen Carpenter, a legend whose light burned out too quickly. A childhood marked by music and shadows. Born on March 2, 1950 in New Haven, Connecticut, Karen Carpenter entered the world with a destiny unknowingly set before her. She was the younger sibling of Richard, who arrived 4 years earlier. Their parents, Agnes and Harold Carpenter, maintained a strict household, showing little warmth or affection. From an early age, it was clear that Richard was the favored child, a musical prodigy who received endless praise, while Karen often remained in his shadow, longing for approval. Despite the emotional coldness in the household, there was one constant: music. Their father, Harold, had an extensive collection of records that filled their home with the sounds of pop, jazz, soul, and classical music. Richard gravitated toward the piano, displaying an incredible musical talent from a young age. Karen, meanwhile, enjoyed listening but showed little interest in performing, until her teenage years, when she discovered an unexpected passion that would set her on a path to stardom. A reluctant move that changed everything. In 1963, the Carpenter family relocated to Downey, California. The move was primarily to support Richard's aspirations of a musical career, but Karen, at just 13 years old, was reluctant to leave her friends behind. What she didn't realize at the time was that this move would shape the rest of her life. It was here that her true talents would begin to shine. At Downey High School, Karen initially joined the marching band to escape gym class, but something incredible happened. She fell in love with drumming. With dedication and natural rhythm, she quickly became a skilled drummer, surprising her instructors with her ability. This newfound passion would soon merge with another hidden gift: her voice. From sibling duo to music icons. Karen and Richard's musical journey began with the formation of the Richard Carpenter Trio in 1965, with Karen on drums and Richard on piano. Despite her significant contributions, Richard refused to include her name in the band's title. The trio gained recognition and even won a major band contest in California, earning a record deal with RCA. However, their soft, jazz-infused sound didn't align with the rock-driven era, and their contract was soon dropped. Determined to keep going, Richard formed a new group called Spectrum, and their music evolved to emphasize vocal harmonies. It was during this time that he realized Karen's voice was something special. The moment she stepped forward as the lead vocalist, the siblings' sound transformed, setting them on the path to superstardom. A breakthrough that defined an era. In early 1969, a friend introduced their demo tape to Herb Alpert, legendary musician and owner of A&M Records. The moment Alpert heard Karen's voice, he knew he had struck gold. The Carpenters were signed, and their journey to fame officially began. Their first album, Offering, failed to make waves, but in 1970 they recorded Close to You, a song that had been passed over by several artists.
To be close to you.
The result? A runaway hit. Close to You soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, selling millions of copies and cementing the Carpenters as one of the biggest musical acts in the world. Hit after hit followed, We've Only Just Begun, Rainy Days and Mondays, Superstar, and many more. Karen's voice had an unmatched purity, a haunting beauty that resonated with millions. At the same time, her exceptional drumming skills remained a key part of the duo's live performances, though critics and industry executives pressured her to step out from behind the drums and take center stage. A silent struggle begins. As the Carpenters' fame skyrocketed, Karen faced an invisible battle. A passing comment from a journalist suggesting she was chubby triggered a deep-seated insecurity. She became fixated on dieting, shedding weight rapidly. At first, she was praised for her slim figure, but as time went on, her weight loss spiraled out of control. What began as a simple effort to stay fit became an all-consuming obsession, one that would ultimately cost her everything. A love story turned nightmare. In 1980, Karen believed she had found love in real estate developer Thomas Burris. He was older, charming, and sophisticated, everything she thought she needed. But just before their wedding, Burris dropped a bombshell. He had undergone a vasectomy, permanently ending Karen's dreams of having children. Devastated, she wanted to call off the wedding, but her mother insisted that it was too late. Pressured into marriage, Karen walked down the aisle, unknowingly stepping into an emotionally abusive relationship. Burris squandered her money and treated her with cruelty, further pushing Karen into emotional distress. The marriage dissolved within a year, leaving her heartbroken and more vulnerable than ever. Desperate for help, yet left alone. By 1981, Karen's health was deteriorating rapidly. Despite her skeletal appearance, her family dismissed concerns, refusing to believe she was seriously ill. In a desperate attempt to regain control of her life, Karen sought professional help in New York. Under the care of psychotherapist Stephen Levenkron, she made progress, but years of damage had already weakened her body, especially her heart. A tragic farewell. On February 1, 1983, Karen met with Richard to discuss new music and plans for a comeback tour. Hope was on the horizon, but fate had other plans. Just 3 days later, on February 4, 1983, Karen collapsed at her parents' home. She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. The cause? Heart failure, brought on by years of malnutrition and the toxic effects of apikic syrup, a medication she had used to induce vomiting. She was only 32 years old. A legacy that lives on Karen Carpenter's life was one of immense talent, love, and unimaginable pain. Though her time on Earth was tragically brief, her voice continues to resonate, her music an everlasting testament to her brilliance. The Carpenters sold over 150 million records worldwide, and Karen's voice remains one of the most beloved in history. In the years after her passing, a CBS biopic attempted to tell her story, but Richard and Agnes ensured that uncomfortable truths, such as Karen's desperate need for her mother's love, were omitted. The film ended with a fabricated scene in which Agnes tells Karen she loves her, something Karen never heard in real life. Karen Carpenter's story is one of beauty and sorrow, a reminder of the fragility of life and the dangers of silent struggles. Her voice, however, will never fade. What's your favorite Carpenters song? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into music's greatest legends.